Hey film fans, welcome to CinePro, your ultimate hub for all movie recaps, from heartwarming classics to the latest blockbusters. Our movie begins in the coastal city of Hawaii with a young man named Sean riding his motorcycle. He is driving it expertly through the forest between the trees. He arrives at his destination and sees his father injured and hanging by his leg. The father fears for his son and tells him to escape quickly. Sean hides among the trees and, terrified, watches a man named Eddie, dressed in a white suit, using a baseball bat to beat Sean's father, who is a judge. The father is killed, and Sean is traumatized. He quickly rides his motorcycle away, crying, and arrives home affected by what he saw. He sees the news of his father's death on TV, and suddenly hears someone trying to break the door. He looks through the peephole and sees Eddie's men coming to kill him. Sean tries to escape from the balcony, and suddenly an intelligence officer named Flynn grabs him and tells him to stay here. Flynn pulls out his gun and kills the gang, then escapes with Sean in the car. The two get to know each other, and when they reach the police station, they ask Flynn why he didn't report to the police when he saw Eddie killing his father. Sean says he was afraid the gang might be in cahoots with the police. Flynn is able to convince Sean to testify against Eddie in court. At Honolulu International Airport, two flight attendants move towards the plane to prepare for the flight. There is a rap group of 3 people signing autographs for fans before heading to the plane to travel. The flight attendants reach the plane and meet their colleague Claire, who learns from the pilot that the police are on the plane with someone they are protecting to testify in a case. Because of this, the police have booked all the first-class seats on the plane. The pilot leaves it to Claire to inform the first-class passengers about the news and handle them. Meanwhile, 2 airport workers are doing something suspicious, talking to each other on the phone. One of them sprays something on the flowers in the plane. Flynn and Sean board the plane to first class. Claire finds herself in an awkward situation dealing with the passengers who booked first class and have to move to economy seats. When Sean sits in his comfortable seat, Flynn calls his colleague Harris and talks about Eddie. Harris says Eddie won't be able to escape from Hawaii. In economy class, a businessman is annoyed by a woman with a dog sitting next to him and another woman with a baby. Unable to bear it, he moves to another seat. The rap group boards the plane and is forced to sit in economy class, where they see an overweight woman and mock her. The woman with the dog looks admiringly at one of the group members. 2 children are traveling alone on the plane, and their mother is waiting for them at Los Angeles Airport. Once all passengers are seated, the flight attendants explain the safety instructions on the plane. The plane takes off from the airport, and a flight attendant approaches Sean, introducing herself as Tiffany. Sean tells her the reason for his trip to Los Angeles, impressing her because she likes the crime atmosphere. None of the passengers on the plane know that there are hundreds of snakes in a large box in the cargo hold, with a timer set to release them in 2 hours. In economy class, the flight attendants are doing their jobs. An Asian man is practicing kickboxing, and a flight attendant jokes with him, doing some fighting moves and embarrassing himself. Flynn goes down to Claire, who is upset with the police for putting the airline in an embarrassing situation with the passengers. Flynn jokes with her to cheer her up and leaves. Rapper Clarence calls to the woman with the dog, named Mercedes, and she sits next to him, letting her dog walk on the rapper, making him uncomfortable because he doesn't like dogs. In the cargo hold, the 2-hour timer goes off, and the box opens, releasing the venomous snakes. 2 people in love go to the bathroom to do drugs, turning off the fire alarm. Suddenly, a snake appears in the bathroom, attacking them, and they scream inside. The snakes cut the electrical wires, causing the pilots to lose control of the plane. The snakes reach the economy class seats, spreading on the floor, and none of the passengers have any idea of the danger they are in. A passenger goes to the bathroom, and while standing, a snake emerges from the toilet, biting him. He screams in pain, hitting his head on the mirror, sustaining a serious injury. A snake moves under the overweight woman, who is drunk, worsening the situation as the plane enters a stormy area, shaking the plane and worrying all passengers. One of the pilots goes down to the control room to fix the wiring, but the snakes attack him, spreading venom in his body, and he dies. The pilot Rick and flight attendant Claire see what happened and inform Flynn and his colleague Sanders. When the police go down to the control room and see what happened, Rick takes over the cockpit, flying the plane alone without an assistant. Claire goes to the passengers to calm them down. Due to the strong turbulence, the luggage falls from the plane's shelves, terrifying the passengers. Rick sees snakes on the control devices, hitting them with a book, accidentally opening the oxygen devices for the passengers, and the snakes fall on the passengers, creating a chaotic situation on the plane. The passengers scream in terror, and a snake bites the overweight woman in the eye. Another snake bites Officer Sanders, causing him pain as the venom spreads through his body. Flynn uses a taser to drive the snakes away from his colleague. A large cobra approaches the two children, biting one of them named Tommy, who dies. One person dies due to the passengers rushing over him in panic. Clarence tries to hide in the bathroom but is shocked to find the bodies of the two people there. Everyone tries to save their lives. Flynn tells them to build a wall using the luggage to prevent the snakes from reaching them. The survivors stack the luggage, leaving Mercedes alone in the economy class amidst the bodies and snakes. Luckily, the kickboxer sees her and rescues her just in time, carrying her on his back and running through the plane. Flynn and Claire see the children and notice Tommy's arm is swollen from the cobra bite. A flight attendant named Grace hears a child screaming in economy class, so she passes through the luggage wall and finds the child sitting on the ground with a snake in front of him. But Grace picks him up from the ground and saves his life, but the snake bites her on her back. Grace gives the child to his mother and returns to the safe area and the bags rest. Officer Sanders' condition worsens due to the spread of venom in his body. He calls his colleague Harris to tell him about the disaster happening. They conclude that Eddie planned all this for the snakes to kill all the passengers, including Sean, who will testify against him in court. Harris talks to his colleagues at the station and asks them to look for someone with experience in snakes and knows how to deal with them. Sean offers help because he was alone in first class where there are no snakes. But Flynn orders him to stay in place to stay alive and reach the court to testify about everything that happened. One of the rap group members gets bitten by a snake under his back and wants someone to suck the venom out with his mouth. But when he sees that a male flight attendant would do it instead of a female, he backs out of his decision. And Tommy's arm swollen strongly, so the child's mother decides to suck the venom from his arm with her mouth. Harris meets a snake expert named Dr. Bryce, and they move together in the car. They call Flynn on the plane, and the doctor says there must be something on the plane causing the snakes to act aggressively, possibly pheromone gas. The doctor's feeling is correct because the plane's handler was spraying pheromones on the flowers in the cargo cabin at the beginning of the events. While Flynn talks to the doctor, the passengers can no longer wait and head to first class. There, Sean admits to them that he is the reason for everything happening because Eddie wants to kill him due to his testimony in court. Flynn talks to them and tells them to gather all the dead snake bodies to identify their types and inform Dr. Bryce to create an antidote for each snake's venom. In the cockpit, a snake bites pilot Rick, causing him to fall onto the control panel. Mercedes suggests to the passengers to take pictures of the snakes with her phone and send them to the doctor to create the antidote. Unfortunately, the plane loses balance because no one is flying it at the moment. Flynn orders all passengers to fasten their seatbelts in their seats. He goes to the cockpit where Claire is defending herself from a large attacking snake. She manages to kill the snake finally, and she and Flynn sit in the pilot seats to regain the plane's balance. But they don't succeed. The snakes reach the passengers behind the luggage area and attack them again. The passengers decide to go to first class. They run and go up the stairs in a panic. A large anaconda falls from the ceiling and moves towards the passengers. Because there are many passengers on the stairs can't hold their weight and break. People fall from the stairs, including the businessman. The anaconda sees him and swallows him whole alive. The rest of the passengers go to first class and try to prevent the snakes from reaching them. Flynn contacts the airport control tower, which tells him he needs to elevate the plane before it crashes into the ocean. Thanks to their instructions, they manage to lift the plane at the last moment, saving the passengers' lives. They discover that the plane's air conditioning is not working, so the passengers might not be able to breathe and could suffocate. Dr. Bryce sees the pictures and concludes that the snakes on the plane are not authorized in America and are very rare, making it very difficult for the doctor to create the antidote. On the plane, Clarence loses control and hits everyone on the plane in anger until his friends calm him down and put him back in his seat. Unfortunately, Grace dies due to the spread of venom in her body from the snake bite. Claire cries over her colleague's death, and Flynn comforts her, saying he will manually turn on the air conditioning from the cargo cabin on the plane. Claire creates a device that shoots fire using a small gas cylinder. Flynn goes down with the device to the cabin and burns the snakes he sees on his way. After a struggle, Flynn finally manages to turn on the air conditioning from the control panel, allowing the passengers to breathe better and feel relieved. The police reach a location in the desert and raid a place where a man breeds unauthorized snakes. When the man tries to escape, Harris catches him, and the man is bitten by a snake. Harris makes him show the list of snake species he sold to Eddie and also learns the components of the antidote for each species. On the plane, Flynn comes out of the cargo cabin and is seen as a hero by the passengers, who thank him for his heroic actions. Harris calls Flynn and tells him they managed to obtain the antidote for the snake venom. When Flynn enters the cockpit, he finds Eric dead due to the spread of venom in his body. Since they need to land the plane, only one member of the rap group, Troy, remains. He has experience in flying in games. Flynn decides to get rid of the snakes on the plane by having all passengers fasten their seatbelts after sitting in their seats. He shoots the windows, breaking them, and the air pressure pulls everything inside the plane, including the snakes. Due to the strong air pressure, Tiffany is about to be sucked out of the plane, but Sean saves her at the last moment. Troy and Flynn sit in the pilot seats in the cockpit. Troy is excited and thinks he's in a game. He contacts the airport control tower, and they get annoyed by Troy's behavior and way of talking to them. Flynn tells them Troy is the only one capable of flying the plane among the passengers. Troy trusts his abilities and asks the airport to clear the landing area so he can land the plane. He talks to the passengers and tells them to fasten their seatbelts as the plane is about to land. Troy lands the plane at the airport but can't stop the plane's wheels until Flynn helps him move the wheels horizontally, and the plane finally stops. After a moment of silence, Troy shouts in joy that they managed to land the plane on the ground alive. Rescue and police forces arrive at the airport and go to the plane. The passengers disembark from the plane, and Harris arrives with the doctor. Bryce is at the infirmary treating all the injured, including the child Tommy. Flynn thanks Tommy for his help, but suddenly a snake appears and bites Sean on the chest. Flynn shoots at Sean's chest and he falls. Tiffany and Claire see him and think he's dead, and they rush over, terrified. But they discover that Sean was wearing a bulletproof vest under his shirt. In the end, Flynn asks Claire to go out with him romantically, and Sean gets Tiffany's phone number, who is interested in him, and Sean and Flynn become friends. After a while, they surf together in a coastal city and enjoy their time. If you liked the video, subscribe to the channel and activate the notification button so you never miss an updates. See you in the next video.